Sullivan, President, Mazda North American Operations. Glad to be here in Chicago.
Had a fundamental downsizing in the industry?
Well, certainly. I think there's a lot of capacity that's going to come out of the industry over the next several years. You're seeing a lot of car companies that are restructuring, and as a part of their restructuring, they're taking overall capacity out. And I think that's going to continue to happen because it's primarily everyone's trying to take out fixed costs. But the industry overall will come back over the long term. I will think you see it here in the United States that the industry will come back beyond the 10 million, 10.5 SAR that we've been seeing for the last 3 to 4 months. It will get much stronger going back, and as a result of it, the companies that are going to be around 2 to 3 years from now are going to come out of this thing much stronger and much healthier.
What's the thing that will capture the imagination and the wallet of tomorrow's buyer?
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, the car industry fundamentally, relative to what consumers are looking for, really remains unchanged, even in this tough climate. The thing that's still going to be important to them is going to be design, attractiveness of design. It's having that passion for that vehicle when you look at it, see it. I still think drive dynamics is going to be very important. And then value. It's not necessarily just the deal, but it's also the value equation. And we even think for Mazda, focusing on those attributes, which we have for many years, and where our white space is, quite honestly, Glenn, is where we're headed. But the commodity kind of brands that are existing out there today are having a very, very tough time for it. And being able to survive this downturn for the next 2 to 3 years for them might be more difficult.
You say commodity, and it brings me to my next question. The car used to be a symbol of freedom and status. Has the car become a burden around the consumer's neck?
No, I mean, for some consumers, relative to their financial wherewithal, if they lose their job, they're losing their home, and they have no income, and they have a car payment, in that case, it would become somewhat of a burden. But remember, there's still a vast majority of the people within the United States are still working. I mean, the unemployment rate is not 50%. It's obviously at a relatively high level, some states greater than others. But there's a significant amount of employment still going on in the U.S. today. And there's a lot of people that are still buying cars. It's still a 10 million plus industry. And they're looking for, again, design, driving dynamics, and value. And for those people, I still think, you know, the car is still going to be very, very important to them. It is still their individual and personal freedom relative to their mobility. So I still think it's going to play a very strong role, not only today, but in the future. I think the current environment, and it's not just, you know, the word conspicuous consumption has been used for a long time. And I think people these days are very cognizant on going out and buying a very ostentatious purchase, I would say. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of great cars and trucks that are sold below $30,000 to $35,000, correct? What gets a consumer to spend $60,000 to $70,000 to $80,000 for a product these days, right? Obviously, symbol of, you know, outward signaling, things of that nature. Personal preference, granted. But the fact of the matter is, I think no matter what it is, whether it's in fashion or whether it's in automotive or whether it's in household purchases, people are just looking for a greater value these days. Whether you're gainfully employed, if your neighbor is losing their job, or there's people in the family, obviously, that are impacted by this economic crisis that we're in, the last thing that they're going to do maybe is to go out and make some flamboyant purchase of any kind, because it does signal the wrong thing. There's more of that respectability going on, I think, in the market today. Again, we have never been an ostentatious brand. We've always been real and provided value. So I think other car companies right now, relative to the customers that they were serving before, might be facing more challenges in relative to what's happening in terms of consumer preference, not looking for that ostentatiousness, but then going back to that real value and what's more important to me in life than maybe just those material things that maybe 3 years ago were so much in fashion.
Jim O'Sullivan, thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Great to be here again.